in the NCR space as well. So these are the important stocks which should be in your radar.
Right, let's go across to Danish to understand what the management of Biocon has to say.
Seen a lack of availability, but of course costs have been moving north. We have seen shipments, logistics being challenged, and there is a general availability of connections for products to move in and out, which has been challenging than before. But fortunately, so far things have moved in the right direction. Let's hope that it solves itself soon so that we can get back to the business of getting people their treatments on a more regular basis.
So would we see any kind of an inflationary pressure on the pharma companies and kind of some price hikes on medicines later on?
I mean, you typically do not want any of these to be passed on to patients, and typically these kind of charges in the longer horizon should even themselves out. But in the shorter interim, you could see some cost build-up that would happen purely on the logistics and the availability side of products, and there could also be a supply that would be intermittently affected, and that's where these things will affect in the shorter window.
So there's one big famous debate in the pharma industry about the generics versus India taking a lead as far as innovative drugs is concerned. So how can we take an advantage as far as specialty or innovative drugs is concerned?
See, India has been exceptionally good in terms of what we do, in terms of making sure that we can supply large quantity of drugs, which is why we are called the pharmacy of the world. And cost arbitrage has really been an area where we've excelled. What is the shift that we see happening is that we move towards more capability-led leadership, which is where we move from volume to value. And I think India is on that upward trajectory. There's a lot of conversation even here at the FICCI event that we are in today, where the Honorable Union Minister J.P. Nadda ji talked about it. The Honorable Minister Anupriya ji Patel talked about it, where the whole focus is to see how can we encourage Indian innovation. And that's the shift that we see happening. Of course, cost will be an advantage, but if we can move that up the value chain, then India will build towards a Viksit Bharat.
So very lastly, how can Indian pharma companies have an edge over the US companies, and would we see some interesting acquisitions in the future?
I think more than having an edge over anyone, I think there is certainly a lot of capability that exists within the country, a lot of talent, and I think with the right policy framework that I clearly see when the union budget was presented, it already sets that framework. India is really set to do far greater things than what we've done so far.
So many thanks for speaking to NDTV. Pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for giving your time, sir. Thank you, sir.
So that was the MD and CEO of Biocon.